to ask both of our panelists for their key takeaways. I know you may have touched upon them very briefly during your presentation, but Tom, do you have any closing remarks, any final thoughts that you'd like to share with the audience?
I think consistency. I mean, it's much for the attorneys in the group to stay up to date on the case law, and I think that references like the Sedona Conference and compilations of information are going to make it easy enough to track what's going on in the courts. I think that the main takeaway and what's important from the cases, at least now and under the DTSA, it's not a lot different from state law, except that you're getting so many more claims with the DTSA and so much more thorough analysis in federal courts that you're starting to see more opinions come out where a trade secret, an alleged trade secret, is vulnerable to attack because of some human resource or administrative reason for why the trade secret was not subject to adequate protections. Whether that's saving cost and not heeding an IT warning to protect information, whether it's the lack of uniform and regularly practiced exit procedures, it's less review the case law and more practical considerations to know that the employer is uniform across the board in protecting trade secrets.
Thank you so much. And before we wrap things up, Chris, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so I think the sort of takeaway, I think, is going back to what I was talking about with some of the unjust enlistment approaches, and that there are a few approaches that are sort of particularly suited for startup companies, and as I sort of alluded to earlier, this is a circumstance we're seeing frequently. I mean, the vast majority of trade secret misappropriation cases involve a misappropriator that was an employee or business partner that left and started his or her own competing business, and typically that business is young, it's a startup, and some of the approaches that I highlighted might allow some damages recovery for that situation. So things to keep in mind.